Hey everyone, Zoran Solano here from Hot Property Buyers Agency. I'm here with Darren Bonehill, one of the top performing real estate agents in the Mount Gravatt East area, and I'm here to have a bit of a chat with him. Thanks for your time, mate.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. So today, guys, I wanted to grill Darren a little bit about his core market of Mount Gravatt East. I understand you have currently got #1 market share in the area. Is that right? Would you say you're sort of quite the dominant agent in that postcode?
Yeah, look, I do currently have a lot of listings in the area. Certainly a suburb that I'm really passionate about, and obviously know a lot of people that live in that area too. So it's kind of been an organic thing where people are starting to notice that I guess my passion and the results that I've been getting. So getting a lot of call-ins for people that need to sell their house. So
excellent. So I thought I'll break this video up into 3 parts, and we'll sort of move through them quite quickly. Part 1, your key area. Part 2, you as a selling agent, and I guess what's your point of difference? Why are people coming to you? And then the third thing, covering on buyers, obviously to reflect the key demographic from my side of things, who I'm sort of working with and working for. So if we start off in Mount Gravatt East, what's happening in that marketplace right now? Can you explain a little bit about the market conditions?
Look, the market conditions are where we've got an oversupply of buyers and an undersupply of listings, particularly good stock. So right now the activity is kind of boosted along with the low interest rates, because obviously the borrowing of money is really cheap. So historically low interest rates, we've never seen them this low before. So it's a really, really good time to get into the market and borrow the money. Then you've also got Mount Gravatt East and the surrounding areas, and 4122 postcode is where a lot of buyers are looking to get into. It's really good value. It's nice and close to the city, and it's still a very family-orientated environment, smack bang in the middle between Garden City, so you've got your shopping facilities in Carindale, also in between the 2 major arterial, being the Gateway and also the Pacific Motorway. So it's perfectly located. So it's close enough to the city to be convenient, but far enough away to be avoiding
suburban. And so I guess with what you just said, then you would depict the key demographic buying owner-occupiers. Would that be who's most influential in that marketplace?
At the moment, definitely yes. So predominantly young families. There's a lot of people that are upsizing. There's also a lot of people that are downsizing. We're meeting a lot of first home buyers as well that are taking advantage of the value of money when you borrow it at the moment.
So I guess right now, if you could have a perfect listing, or if you could say, geez, I wish I had 10 of those listings, what would that look like for you right now in Mount Gravatt East?
3 to 4 bedroom, 2 bathroom on approximately 600 square metres of land, between the $650,000 to $800,000 price range. That's where the bulk of the buyers are at the moment.
I guess, and that really reflects the Brisbane median house price. Median house price is in the high 600,000s for the local government area of Brisbane, which is smack bang in the range you're talking about, and we're within 10k odd. We're about that 10k ring in that area as well. So again, it sort of suits in that quintessential Brisbane market that a lot of people are looking in. Okay, so that's sort of 3. Does it need to be en-suited? Because I know in that area it is a bit harder to find something en-suited.
It is, and when they come up there, they're certainly very popular. They go quickly. They get multiple offers. It doesn't need to be. It's certainly a preference for most people, but if it doesn't have the second bathroom or the ensuite, people will forego that and then I guess favour the land size and layout. Layout's a really, really big factor, because a lot of these homes are older and built at a time where designs were different. So
they didn't have covered outdoor entertaining areas and all that sort of stuff. So the living, kitchen, dining flow wasn't the way we want it now.
Absolutely. And at the moment, coming into summer, so it hasn't really warmed up like it will in the next couple of months. Pools are becoming a lot more popular at the moment. And outdoor entertainment space. Big thing.
And so I guess, where do you see that demographic moving to? Like, Mount Gravatt East now is very different to what it was 15 years ago.
Very different.
If you were to buy something now that you believe will suit the emerging demographic, what does that look like? Because I see a lot of knockdown new builds, I see a lot of big renos. Is that the direction Mount Gravatt East is heading? Do you think that's ultimately the best type of property to have in 5, 10, 15 years time?
Yeah, definitely. It's having a property that has the upside of being able to be demolished and then built brand new is definitely a huge upside, considering as long as it's on a decent parcel of land, that helps a lot too. But even if it is very nicely done, well renovated, good layout, I think that will be a timeless property as well, because it's got more livability, more functionality day to day for families.
How important do you think a 607 is, or that bigger land size, as opposed to your smaller 405s? Do you think that's a big consideration, or is it becoming, I guess, less of a consideration?
Not a big consideration, it definitely helps, but then placement of the property, so where the building is on the block, can make a big difference, because people, everybody wants to have their yard space, especially with young families. They want room for a swing set, if it doesn't have a pool, room to be able to put a pool in, trampoline, all of those kind of things. Another thing that I'm noticing that can make properties a lot more appealing is great landscaping.
Yeah, right.
There's a lack of thought that goes into landscaping with a lot of properties, and you will find that properties that are landscaped well, especially ones that
to create usability of yard, or first impression and wow factor of a nice presented yard?
First impression, how it feels, how it looks, how it's going to feel living there day to day. So a really well cultivated garden that has spatial elements but looks quite pretty. It's great. So great use of hedges.
I actually completely agree. You know, it's something that and to be honest, guys, this is completely unrehearsed. We didn't have a script. This is completely off the cuff. And the fact you said that is really interesting, because I think a lot of people undervalue the significance of A, the first impression, but also B, the landscaping and the usability of that landscaping in a home. So cool. Okay. So tell us a little bit about how you feel you've come to create such a dominance in that Mount Gravatt East market. Why are people coming to you to sell their homes?
Look, I think a lot of it boils down to my work ethic, my service, and my knowledge of the area, and living local is a big factor. So my wife and I, we live in Wishart, so 4122 postcode. It's an area that I'm passionate about. Our son goes to local school, so Jackson's at Wishart Primary School. We support local, especially during COVID. My wife and I did a couple of campaigns to help people that were struggling during that time. Helped us really mesh ourselves into the community when a lot of people we didn't know at that time. And it's snowballed from there. But my service is a really big factor of what I do. Communication, I think communication is a really, really important part of a real estate transaction across the board. Transparency and making sure that everybody knows what stage the deal is at, and the client knows that you are looking after them and you're there available at any point in time.
Look, guys, Darren's currently working with one of my long-term clients in trying to sell his property. We're currently going through a pre-market campaign, I guess you would call it, and I spoke with Joel, the owner of that property, earlier today, and just to get a bit of the inside word of, okay, how's he actually going? And the report was actually good. So, mate, tick there. How good's that? So, you know,
surprised.
Good I'm surprised. No, good communication. Well, look, you don't become a dominant agent in a market by sitting on your hands and providing poor quality of service. And I wouldn't be doing this video with you if I didn't identify that and want to share that with my clients, and obviously introduce you into the sale of Joel's property. So I think that's right. The communication is really good. Right now, what is the most effective method of sale in the Mount Gravatt East postcode?
At the moment, look, it's all working, because you've got your different options. You can go for sale without a price. That is quite effective at the moment for the seller to go out there without making a commitment to a figure and seeing if we can get an early buyer that will fall in love with it and ideally get a premium and help them get moved with extra money in their pocket. Auctions are very effective as well. They always have been. It's a great way to sell. Offers over is also very effective as well. If you put the property at a price point that would be attractive, and then create an environment where the buyers can put forward their best bids. So across the board, but predominantly I use for sale. So to give my sellers the opportunity to secure a premium without having a ceiling on the price by actually using a figure.
And look, this is the thing. A selling agent is there to represent the seller, to get the best offer out of the market, and often that's created via a multiple offer situation and a competitive offer situation. So I understand where you're coming from. I guess I transition to the last segment, which is buyers.
Yes.
How do you expect buyers to navigate a no price listing. You know, what's your approach to that, and how do you feel the market reacts to that?
That is a really good question. Nobody likes it. I bought my own property that was on the market for sale without a price, so I do know how it feels. I guess a lot of sellers have elected to go that way when the market is uncertain, and it really is uncertain at the moment. We know that it's a good market, but there's a lot of uncertainty because of everything that's happening. But as far as a research tool for buyers, buyers have more resources than they ever have before. With the use of realestate.com, you can search sold and compare a property and use that as your judgment, and then obviously weigh up what you would be willing to go to, based on how suitable the property is for you. Almost all of the banks are providing auto valuation tools. So I always recommend to my buyers, do all of your research, find out where you feel comfortable. If you do really love a property and you know that you're going to be there for a few years, I don't think that there's any risk with paying a little bit extra to make sure that you are in front when the seller makes their decision.
Spoken like a true selling agent, that one, listen to that.
That is true. But I personally, when my wife and I bought our house, I felt like I was overpaying at the time. We'd been searching for 8 months, it was getting frustrating, and we found it, we loved it. At the time I felt uncomfortable for the level that I went to, but 5 years later, the value has gone up by 20%. And
this is the thing, and this reflects a lot of a certain elements of my approach is, if you identify the right property worth fighting over, then it's acceptable to go to your maximum limit you feel comfortable. It's when you go to your maximum on properties that perhaps don't tick all the boxes or perhaps are inferior to the demographics of the area, that's where I think you fall into trouble, especially if the market does shift. Quality always, cream rises to the top. It's a saying for a reason. So if you're paying a premium, paying top market for the right property, you're exactly right. I feel that time will heal that. Again, though, it is still very much a buyer beware process. Buyers have to undertake their own research and due diligence, and obviously that's where we come in as a buyer's agent to provide that. Because I think you're exactly right. The for sale method with no price has become more and more prevalent in the current market. You're exactly right. I definitely agree. As a buyer's agent who looks at property across the market, I see it all the time. But what it actually is doing to some buyers is actually creating an element of uncertainty. And so I think that it's a difficult process to navigate for an uneducated or a first-time buyer or something like that. But ultimately, it can yield a great result.
Absolutely. And just to comment on my experience with buyer's agents, I've always had favourable experience with buyer's agents. And as a professional as well, dealing with another professional, knowing that they can do the research. Most of the buyers that have given me feedback have found that process a lot easier when dealing with a buyer's agent, because they've got someone representing them that does all the research and can check and confirm everything and give guidance. Sometimes it's good to have a sounding board and a third party that is qualified, that does it day to day with the transaction, and can make the process a lot quicker, easier, and simpler in the right home. So I do think it's a good idea that if you do lack that confidence to find a quality buyer's agent that can do that research for you and have as a sounding board as well. It's definitely worthwhile investment.
Yeah, oh, that's great to hear you've had some positive experiences with buyer's agents out there in the market. It is a small segment of the Brisbane market, but I think it's growing, and it's growing quite aggressively. And as we see more interstate buyers, are you seeing a lot of interstate interest in the type of property you're listing, or more local at the moment?
Yes, I am, not as much as I thought that we would.
I think when the borders open, it's going to be the night and day. Honestly, I believe buyers are going to be lined up at the border waiting for it to open. If my inquiry has anything to sort of show, because we're seeing a lot of that demographic starting to be interested.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And we've been very fortunate in Queensland that while the rest of the world is going through a lot of drama and a lot of pain and frustration and closures and borders, we've been relatively lucky. So a lot of people are realising that it's a great place to live. So.
All right, mate. Well, thank you very much for your time, and thanks for everyone watching. If you have any questions in relation to this or any of our videos, please give me a call on 3170-3760. I'd love to help you with your property needs. And mate, thanks for your time.
Thanks, pleasure.
Cheers.